So I'll talk a little bit about, why I started and then reasons why I keep going. So first, growing up from a diverse background, my parents had expended quite a lot of money for me to attend these different tutoring services and so many different classes for something I believe that was such a basic resources, like a resource like learning languages and just to be able to connect with your family. And I didn't want other students to have to go through that really financially hardening process as well. So first, I just wanted to have a language hub. But then, entering high school, I really had zero idea what I wanted to do after high school. And I realized that same equity and equality barrier and resource barrier with so many students around me. And, of course, when you're inching onto your last years of high school, also experiencing a little bit of peer and some familial pressures when you're making your career decision. I noticed, which is, reasons why I keep going now, I noticed that these situations for myself were not too small and they weren't just for me, it was for many, many students. So for reasons why I keep going, of course, having so many monthly visitors to our platform, it's definitely encouraged me because I know that there are so many students who were in the shoes that I was once in and would, of course, would like to get out of them as well. And then now, through being supported by these resources around me, I've definitely learned to honor my pace and I feel much more happy, knowing where I want to go in the future. And then lastly, feedback and student stories. So I put a little asterisk next to feedback because if you're launching any project, software, hardware, I would definitely recommend getting feedback from the very beginning. I think it's so crucial to allow a way for people who are either visitors or users or customers to be able to receive, well, you receive and that they provide feedback to you because you may not know exactly what they're looking for. And of course, student stories. So whatever your target audience is, hearing stories from them is really, really great for you to keep going. Had once said, know where you want to go and make sure the right people know about it. And for some context, Leading Learners, we are completely student-led. So we have students in high school and university who are helping us develop all of our work. And of course, supported by government and educators. But this quote really, really resonates with me because initially starting off, hands down, it was just myself and my two closest friends. Like that was it. And now, through a year of operations, we have an entire team of over 100 students really across the globe. We have different chapters that can be held in different high schools and universities. So this really, really resonates with me because I feel like without the right people, I definitely would not have gotten this far and I would not have seen so much successes with Leading Learners. So I'm going to ask this question now and I'll wait like 30-ish seconds, 15, 30 seconds. But I'm just going to allow everyone here to type in the chat if you were to, launch your idea or project or really any innovative idea you have in mind, what would you do to find the right people? And this can be anything from asking your closer friends, family. I'll just stay muted for about 15 seconds and I'll see the chat in a bit. Okay, to be honest, everyone, I didn't even take out my phone. I was just hopeful that that was good 15 seconds. But I'm gonna open up what you guys have said here, and then I'll get into my ways of how I was able to find the right people. Friends, LinkedIn. I'd ask close friends, ask my friends if they know anyone. Looking at news and LinkedIn. Hacker friends, of course. Close friends. Close friends. Okay, perfect. So I'll get into ways I was able to find the right people. So I saw many things about close friends, and I mean, it depends on your friend groups, but for my friends, we're really, really nice to each other, and we don't really want to give each other constructive feedback. So when it comes to closer friends, something I kind of recommend is to not exactly ask them, well, at least for me, on advice on an action I should take, and instead I'll take the action and then after ask them for input because they're able to see, that differentiation in what you had wanted to do and how it looks like now. I think that definitely helps with closer friends because they may not be able to see that vision when you're trying to execute it. Second, reaching out through other people. So if you feel like you're not too confident, which was initially me, only 16 speaking to educators and government, you can definitely have one person who just works on all the communication and external relations of your whether it's an organization, project, hardware, software. And that person can just work on all your sponsorships and partnerships, which is really great to have them, and they're really, really useful in the end. Third, connecting with program participants. So hackathons, there are so many on this virtual era. I know, I'm going to be honest, like if I were watching this right now, I usually am in my room, just like huddled up at my desk. So definitely you can make so many really great friends, you know, through hackathons and different events online nowadays. And my last two here are educators' lessons and learning from your elders. So when it comes to educators' lessons, I typically say, you know, throughout high school, I'm inching on to my last few weeks of high school, I would say I've learned probably 2 to 3 really great lessons from teachers and that I can really take on to the future. And of course, setting up little mentor meetings with them has definitely helped. And then lastly, learning from your elders. We always say, you know, elders have the best experiences, but they also have the most experiences because they've lived twice, even triple our age. So I would obviously recommend them as well. And now on to strengths and weaknesses. So for strengths, because I mentioned we are completely student led. So I was really proud of our team from the very beginning, having a really close-knit community and regular bonding sessions from the beginning, and we continue to have these. So every week, no matter what, we always have a weekly question for our team to answer, and it doesn't have to be too serious. We ask anything from what is your favorite ice cream flavor to what's a goal you want to accomplish this week. So really anything to just keep your team engaged. Second, we focused and honed in on our student audience, which is of course our target audience, and we received support from them from the very beginning. So like I don't think I mentioned actually, we did student surveys from the very beginning to get to know our target audience. So I would go around my high school and then different high schools and universities to see the validity and credibility in my idea. And third and last year we knew of things we could and could not control from the very beginning. And I think that's really, really important when you are completely student-led as well. So for example, something we could obviously control was how many students we reached through surveys, because we could obviously just do more surveys. But something we could not control and we were very aware of was how different educators or parents would approach the platform, and despite being funded by banks and government, if they would take us seriously. And which kind of leads me on to my last point here for strengths, which is having a strong foundation of values and a really strong mission statement. So us at Leading Learners, our mission statement is to support students through free and accessible resources in order to find their own individual paths or own individual successes. And of course, that's a really strong mission statement, which resonates with, like I mentioned, thousands of students. So it's a really great way to have something for your team to reflect on and a reason to keep going when times get tough. So now into weaknesses, I kind of went over this, but you know, when we are speaking to government or educators to get some advice or input or any funding as well, when we're speaking to them who are twice or triple our age, it can be kind of intimidating. So that kind of leads me on to my next point, which is having a professional front and really strong brand establishment from the beginning. So having meaning behind your logo, you know, why you're here, why you're all working together is super important. And something I would also recommend to ensure that is having these like one-pager guides. So something that explains your project, service, hardware, really any idea into a single page of why you're here and what impact you will have on the world. And then lastly, sharing information internally, because we're completely student-led. It was a little bit difficult from the beginning, and I would completely recommend getting a project management software. I personally love Notion. I know people who use Notion are usually fanatic about it. That is completely me. But of course, you use any others like Asana or any other ones as well. So I believe this is like the second to last slide here I have. So for resources, I have some for you on the logistical side and tools as well. So on the logistical side, when you're building your team, I would consider team formation as also a time for team bonding as well. So understanding each other, what your strengths and weaknesses are as individuals, and aside from that, also knowing why you're here, and that will give you a really great reason to keep going whenever times get tough. Second, spending time researching your target audience more than the potential outcomes. So getting to know all their issues and struggles, and which is kind of like my last point too, if you're not, you know, put yourself in the consumer or customer persona shoes and consider all their issues, struggles, and problems, and how you with your idea will potentially be the best solution to all their problems, considering all their issues. Now onto the tool side of things. Patriot is an accounting sort of management software. And I do think they're a really great software. You can use their software for 30 days for free. But something I also love about them is that they basically teach you the like A to Z to business in really short blogs and infographics. And on the left-hand side, I put a little infographic for how to start a business 101, just a FYI. But I would definitely recommend them if you're just trying to understand the really basics. Second, Canva is this accessible design platform, and it's really just for really, really beginners who are just trying to design something really quick and easy. I do like them, as their product itself, but something I love most about them is that you're able to create these like collaborative brainstorms where all of your team members can go on and just type and like splatter all their ideas. We call it a brain splatter. You can just release all your thoughts and ideas. And if you did want to, you can print out your brainstorm for your idea or project onto paper, cardstock, even t-shirts, which would be super cool. And they're really for a relatively low cost, so I'd recommend them. And then lastly, digital grants. So researching, free tools for students, another good search query, student technology. You could first start in your city, then your region, then your country, or if you're on the global scale as well. And then of course, tech for good. So like I had mentioned several times now, we are completely student-led. So sorry, trying to find everything we could get for free was super important. We were able to secure sponsorships and partnerships with companies, really big tech companies like Canva, Crello, Notion, Microsoft, Google, among so many others, which has been super great for us to push forward. So key takeaways here before I open up to any questions. Some things I have here, finding your target audience, how you can directly assist them, emails, surveys, or really just outreach in general is super important. Brand establishment is also key, whether that's one pagers or having meaning behind what you do, seeking feedback on a regular basis, and trying to learn what you can and cannot control early on, also super important. But yes, I am completely open to questions now, and I'll stick back for maybe like 30-ish seconds and then look back in the chat. But that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was an amazing presentation. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat or in the Q&A section.
I also am going to quickly pop in where you can find us. So I did just copy this. Yes, I am on LinkedIn, but we also have our own little Instagram where we post tons of student updates and tips for all our student audience. Oh yeah, I just saw that comment by Tiohack's team, so thank you. Thank you for the opportunity as well. Yeah, I'm definitely available on LinkedIn if you're like on the spot right now. It's okay. Like I mentioned, honestly, I've done at least half of my hackathons like in my bed or like honestly at my desk, all cuddled up in my pajamas. So feel free to reach out on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, if there are no other questions, I will head off soon. Oh, okay. I was just about to say, is there anything I need to do before leaving? But I just saw a question. So, what are some of the challenges you face starting a business organization? Well, okay, so something I always say is like, having that professional front from the beginning. So because I really didn't have too much reasoning behind why I was starting, I thought it was just because I found it really hard to know what I want to do in the future. So something I had as a little bit of a challenge was being able to explain us short and concisely. And of course now, through several different workshops I've given, I can do that. But when I was starting off, having meaning and having a really strong mission statement was sort of hard to develop. So I would recommend getting that feedback from either your team or people who are interested in your field as well. And having a really strong mission statement overall, super good. Okay. Okay, I saw another question. So, how do you deal with imposter syndrome if you ever feel it? Well, okay, I often get made fun of by my friends a lot because they often say, like, I don't even post on social media. No one would even know what I'm doing. But I do a lot of things. And I think that imposter syndrome can definitely be there because I'm not too aware of all the things I'm doing. But something I personally do is have my own little, I don't want to call it confidence booster, but I have a way to collect everything I've done to just reflect on it. And I'm able to actually see, all these things I'm getting involved in and how many different workshops I'm giving in a single month. And I think that if you're collectively tracking it for yourself, at least that's a great way to at least reinforce the belief that you are, working hard and you are doing something to better the world. That's helped a lot for me personally.
All right, I think that marks the end of this workshop. And thank you, Galicia, for hosting this workshop. And thank you for everyone for coming. To end it off, we would like for everyone to